The Porterfields are causing a Christmas commotion on Berkeley Drive in Montgomery. Each night since December 1st, hundreds of people have driven by the Porterfields to see their decorated home and lawn. 40 blinking Santas, snowman, and toy soldiers, plus thousands of lights, have been attracting crowds in Montgomery since 1969, when the Porterfields first set up the display on Court Street and then continued the tradition when they moved to Berkeley. Belinda and O.B. Porterfield seem to get as much a kick out of their Christmas conglomeration as the passers-by.
Oh, yeah, right, and wait for them to come, and the kids, you can hear them in the house sometime out in the yard. They get so excited, you know.
People can also hear the Christmas music O.B. has hooked up. Fortunately, neighbors on both sides of the Porterfields are hard of hearing. And O.B. says in the 14 years they've decorated, they've only had one complaint from neighbors. But their 3 sons have all told them at one time or another that this flashing display is downright tacky. But don't tell that to these people.
There's a little Santa about a bird down, too. Isn't it pretty?
Cool.
How about the lights on the trees?
Reindeer?
Lisa Walsh, WSFA TV News.
Red Cross on up there on Rickman in the factory. Oh yeah. Hi.
Once they start letting them play that talk and run.
Come on, come on, come on, come on.
One thing is to leave lights on in the house. This tends to discourage a burglar. It would help if the house was well lit on the outside. The thing to do if they do come back and if their home has been burglarized in their absence, we ask that they not go into the house. They go to a neighbor nearby and call police and let police units come and check the house out. This is for their own safety, and also it increases the chances perhaps of catching the burglar inside if he's not aware that he's been discovered.
For weeks now, Father Christmas and his little helpers have been making special appearances. But today the jolly old man in red left his home near the North Pole to make his traditional Christmas visit to millions of homes around the world. 1984 has been a busy year, with hundreds of thousands of letters and phone calls. But as Santa said goodbye and headed off across the frozen wastes behind his famous reindeer, he carried with him presents and special greetings that will bring delight to the people of many nations over the Christmas period. It's a long trip. Experts say that by the time Santa completes the journey in the early hours of Christmas Day, the genial old gent will have covered an exhausting 3,716,4 516 kilometres. Yet the experience of previous years makes the trip easy, from the snow-covered fields of Finland across the world's major continents. Justifiably, Santa now has a little help from new technology, with a jet aircraft available here and there to help this Christmas veteran to your doorstep with plenty of time to spare. Chris Travers reporting.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
My husband's car broke down, and I had his Christmas on layaway, and I had that Christmas on layaway, and I didn't have enough money to get it out. And so the mechanic knew that, you know, that was a problem, and he said, well, y'all still gonna have Christmas.
When word reached Santa Claus that some Montgomery families weren't able to celebrate a merry and happy Christmas, the chubby old man in red called some of his workers in blue to provide toys for the children and food for everyone. Santa watched carefully as his helpers loaded box after box of goodies onto the sleigh for an early morning delivery. 320 families, 1,300 people in all received more than $17,000 worth of gifts, including turkeys and vegetables for a nourishing Christmas dinner. Once again, the Montgomery Police Department's Christmas Crusade gave Christmas special meaning.
All the police department does is take the toys, separate them, and place them in boxes. It's the citizens of Montgomery. They come forth with the money, they provide us with the toys and the food, and without that, we would have no program.
Then it was off to deliver the goodies. House after house, Santa met the bright-faced kids at the door with open arms. For some families, the Christmas Crusade was the answer to prayers for a miracle.
My husband's car broke down, and I had his Christmas on layaway, and I had that Christmas on layaway, and I didn't have enough money to get it out. And so the mechanic knew that, you know, that was a problem, and he said, well, y'all still gonna have Christmas.
They just been asking me, Mother. I told them I was going, you know, and try to get them something. They said, well, when we get back, it's going to be a surprise. Yes, and it is. It's going to be a great surprise.
It's seeing, you know, the little children, you know, when you deliver and Santa gives them their toys, their little faces light up, and, you know, they'll say, Santa Claus, I love you, and it just, you know, it makes you feel good knowing you've done something to make somebody so happy.
Corporal Jones says as long as Montgomery residents band together to help one another, the police department will be glad to help out so that everyone can have a Merry Christmas. Dean Arco, WSFA TV News.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the station not a creature was stirring. They were all on vacation. The lights were all hung in the studio with care in hopes we'd have news to send out through the air. The cameras were waiting, batteries charged up and warm. The notepads stood by, pages neat and untorn, and Bill with his camera and I with my pen were just stepping out to bring the news in. But down at the State House, no one was home. The tree was all lit, but it stood all alone. The council was empty, filled only with chairs. Downtown was pretty, but no one was there. The bypass, why surely that was the place, but though there were a few cars, there was a whole lot more space. And out at the malls, the shopping was done. The presents were wrapped, the yearly battle was won. Through the alleys, the streets, the highways and byways, down at the bus stations and out at the flyways, the people were missing, nowhere to be seen. Where was the news? What could this mean? Then a light in a window gave up a clue. It had something to do with old friends and new. Mistletoe and holly, good times and good cheer, and the age-old traditions on this night of the year. So we gave up our search and we came home too. I sat down at the typewriter and wrote this poem for you. The message is old, but it's the sentiment we choose. Merry Christmas to you all from WSFA TV News.
The ringing of the bell, one of the
sure signs that it's Christmas, and it's been a Christmas tradition in America since the turn of the century.
The Army back in the early 1900s in California was serving meals, and they started getting down to the end of the pot, and there's no more to feed, and so they set the pot outside the door, and then they started collecting some money in order to refill them pots and start serving again. And that's how it sprang up, and it just spread throughout the Army, and the Army's been using it ever since.
And it's been an effective means of collecting money ever since. This year, they're expecting to bring in about $20,000. Today, some of that money is being used to provide food for families who might not otherwise have a Christmas dinner.
We have food baskets set up for them. That includes frozen meal. It's enough food to last them for the entire day. A large breakfast, a good Christmas dinner, and then enough to carry them on in through that evening. As of Thursday and Friday, we went through a little over 1,700 families, and I imagine by the end of the day we'll be through over 2,000.
But unlike other organizations, the Salvation Army's mission doesn't stop there. Their efforts to help the less fortunate by providing shelter and a good meal continue long after the last bell has been rung and the last little bit of change is thrown into the kettle. Terry Stanton, WSFA TV News.
What did Coach Edwards say?
Well, he was probably the most emotional I've ever seen him. He was just really happy, you know, proud to death of us, I'm sure, and you know, he's just really happy and just really happy, you know.
Because you dad paper this morning, yeah.
How long?
You're 13-0. Is it kind of tough to have to defend being a national champion?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams from the East don't think that we play football out in the West. So, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt to defend it, but I think we deserve it.
It is 8 in the morning. Hardly a creature is stirring at the Madison Hotel, except in the great training room.
I don't smoke, don't drink.
Practice isn't for 2 hours, but there are 74 ankles to be taped, among other things. Make that 76 ankles.
Keeps it in a immobile position, keeps it from turning certain ways to cause an injury.
Seth Lester, an athletic trainer at Livingston University, is one of many trainers who work behind the scenes during Blue-Gray Week.
We go by their meet at a certain time. We need to get them taped before the meeting so they can get out to practice on time. We work around the players.
Since game day is fast approaching and contact will be limited, no shoulder pads will be worn during practice, only helmets and practice jerseys. The Grays practice field at Maxwell Air Force Base is only a short bus ride from the players' hotel. This is when the stories are swapped and the strategy is discussed.
The left guard will be King, backed up by Nara. The right guard will be Giles, backed up by
Monaco. The first sign of trouble is when your name isn't called.
Now, is it on down here?
Yeah, it's the first one down there where those line markers are, 20, 30, 40. Yeah. Stretching is an important part of every practice. A pulled muscle could cost a player valuable playing time in front of the professional scouts. Visions of touchdowns danced in my head as I loosened up with Gray quarterbacks Mike Epley and Kurt Page. But I rapidly lost interest in playing on the offense.
Let's go eye left. 60 X cross.
You know, how'd you prove that? Who is that? Asked autograph seekers. Number 37 on their roster was Alabama's Emmanuel King.
We're gonna put him in defensive half there.
Whatever they can smear him at.
Here, Dunn. Look around here.
That's what I was thinking when called on to be part of the Gray special teams unit. But once I figured out I had to keep my head up to see the man in front of me, I was all right. No half speed for me. This was my big chance. The ball was on the ground.
Learn how to kick that.
it was a much longer bus ride back to the hotel.
I think Cody has great potential for something.
We just giving him a ride back to the hotel. We cut him.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bright was singing, oh, jingle bells.
Right. People smiling behind that.
Because you do. You freaking, we freaking. Bill, I'm coming after you.
And I ain't got any idea. You got a suggestion? I think basically we'll tell them really when we get down to it to enjoy playing the game, that it's a rare treat, it's a rare opportunity to be playing, especially against a team of the caliber of Auburn, who was a preseason pick to be #1 in the nation. We were not picked to be #1 in the nation, in fact picked about 5th or 6th in our conference. So I think it's a great challenge and a great opportunity, but more important to show our whole program and everything we stand for, we're on display out there one play at a time.
What about Auburn? What do you feel about this team?
There were no visible signs of Christmas outside Catherine Lewis Young's four-room house, sort of reminiscent of last year when tragedy struck the Lewis family.
4 days before what would have been a holiday celebration with the family, 5 members, their parents, 3 sisters, and a friend, were killed in a car-truck collision. They were taking one of the sisters, who was in labor, to the hospital. The unborn baby died too.
It's a whole lot happier than it was last year. Because as long as they're happy, I'm happy. So they are a whole lot happier too.
When you woke up this morning, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, first thing that came to mind, I thought about my parents. So then I looked at them and they were so happy, so I kind of put that aside.
Catherine still can vividly remember that morning. She can talk about it now without tears coming to her eyes. The worst is over, though it has taken some time.
I guess they do everything for the best. So I was mad with him for a while, but everybody told me that, go on living. So I'm trying to.
Has it been getting easier for you?
Yeah. About halfway through, you just start getting better. So I learned to cope with it because I couldn't change it.
What keeps her going these days are her remaining family members. Catherine takes care of her youngest sisters, Tracy and Pat. They shared Christmas together.
Oh, thanks.
Later, the other members of the Lewis family would share dinner together. But for now, Christmas morning meant being a family. Once again, Catherine says her parents would have wanted it that way.
long as we all got our health and our strength, and they ain't sick and I'm not sick, and ain't nothing wrong with my 3 brothers. That's happiness.
Kim Davis, WSFA TV News in Bradford.
Reporters aren't the only ones who have to work during the holidays. As a matter of fact, telephone operators not only have to work, Christmas is their busiest day of the year. Here in Montgomery, AT&T has 71 full-time operators to handle an expected 50,000 completed calls during Christmas Day. And that's not counting the wrong numbers, busy signals, and busy circuits.
If it's busy, we call back in a little bit.
I'm sorry, the circuits are busy now. We'll try again later.
It's always good like going through me.
You're calling area 313-834-5656.
Thank you.
Say it's disconnected.
Okay. And Terry, you want it person to person? Okay, thank you for using AT&T.
If you call a loved one by dialing 1+, then the telephone company's super switcher will handle the job. At least 643,000 long-distance calls will travel the wires. This is a drop in the bucket considering nationwide, AT&T will handle an estimated 22.6 million interstate calls today alone. Mother's Day ranks second in busiest days. AT&T supervisor Melvie Kelly says the circuits may be busy the first time you try to reach out and touch someone. So hang up and try again, and again if necessary. She says eventually you'll get through. She says she and the other AT&T operators are working today so you can pick up the phone and tell a friend or relative Merry Christmas. Dean Argo, WSFA TV News.
There were 3 explosions in 15 minutes. The pre-dawn bombs destroyed 1 abortion clinic and heavily damaged 2 others. It was the second time this year that the Lady Center Clinic had been bombed. Damage to this gynecologist's office was estimated at $200,000. The building is owned by a Pensacola lawyer.
If we all pack...
Investigators believe the bombs were made of gunpowder. The explosion set off a fire in Dr. Bo Bagenholm's office. 18 federal agents arrive tomorrow to look for clues in the Christmas Day bombings. Dennis Murphy, NBC News.
Before the Christmas Day record crowd had a chance to settle in their seats, the Gray Squad made something happen. On the first play from scrimmage, Blue quarterback Gail Gilbert had his pass batted at the line, and Alabama's Emmanuel King picked it off, but a 36-yard field goal try later by Fuad Rivez was blocked. After the Blues recovered a fumbled punt, BYU's Lee Johnson booted a 39-yard field goal, but the applause went to the high school band director who made the catch in the stands. It was 3-0 Blue. The fans enjoyed the intensity displayed on both sides. Blue defensive back David Edwards of Illinois flattened Vandy's Chuck Scott here, but Scott hung on. It was Gray defensive back Derek Burrows who provided the most exciting play of the first half. The Memphis State standout stepped in front of Paul Berner's pass and raced 54 yards down the sideline to put the Grays in front 7-3. A new field goal record for the Blue-Gray game was established in the second quarter when BYU's Lee Johnson drilled a 59-yard boot behind a brisk wind.
Looks like it could have gone 69. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. That wind always helps a little bit. But good hold, good snap, line held is good.
Ahead 7-6, Gray coach Ray Perkins pulled a page out of the Alabama playbook. Gray quarterback Kurt Page found Alabama running back Paul Carruth out of the backfield for a first down at the Blue 14. From there, Page hit Jerry All-World Rice, who was named the game's MVP for the touchdown, and it was 14-6 at the half.
They're all alone back there. Yes, they bit real hard, and Page just drilled the ball in. All I had to do was just catch the ball. The key to it all is they're really coming off the ball in the running game and opening up the holes there, and making the defense be real honest.
The Grays' offensive surge continued in the second half. Selma's Sam DeJarnette ripped off a 25-yard run here on the Grays' second series. A few plays later, Fuad Rivez kicked the second of 2 field goals in the third quarter, this one from 44 yards out, and it was 20-6 Gray. The Grays would turn it into a rout on their next series. Carruth, a former high school quarterback in Mississippi, threw a perfect strike to Rice, and the Mississippi Valley speedster turned it into a 60-yard scoring play.
I just threw it out there, and I knew you could run under it no matter how far I threw it. There wasn't nobody going to catch him either. No. I didn't even watch. I ran on over to the sideline because I knew nobody was going to catch it.
Rivez boomed 2 more field goals, one from 52 yards out, and The capper on this truly great day at Crampton Bowl came on the game's final play. Alabama's Ricky Moore bolted through the line from his own 31, and it was a foot race to the goal line between Moore and the Blues' David Edwards. The Illinois safety hauled the Alabama back down at the 2, and the clock ran out.
When you broke through, could you hear the crowd behind you?
I thought I was gone, but, guy made a great effort, and he came and got me, and, that's football.
I tell you what, the people of Montgomery and Fats Jones and all those people that have put this game on, and everybody, the media, everybody that's had anything to do with it whatsoever during the week have done a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that it's always nice to cap anything off with a victory.
Enough said, except Gray 33, Blue 6.
Enjoyed the week with you.
Yeah, kids played. Kids played very well.
It was great defensive back Derek Burrows who provided the most exciting play of the first half. The Memphis State standout stepped in front of Paul Berner's pass and raced 54 yards down the sideline to put the Grays in front 7-3. A new field goal record for the Blue-Gray game was established in the second quarter when BYU's Lee Johnson drilled a 59-yard boot behind a brisk wind.
Looked like it could have gone 69.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. That wind always helps a little bit. But good hold, good snap, line held is good.
Ahead 7-6, Gray coach Ray Perkins pulled a page out of the Alabama playbook. Gray quarterback Kurt Page found Alabama running back Paul Carruth out of the backfield for a first down at the Blue 14. From there, Page hit Jerry All-World Rice, who was named the game's MVP for the touchdown, and it was 14-6 at the half.
They're all alone back there.
Yes, they bit real hard, and Page just drilled the ball in.
Carruth, a former high school quarterback in Mississippi, threw a perfect strike to Rice, and the Mississippi Valley speedster turned it into a 60-yard scoring play.
I just threw it out there, and I knew he could run under it no matter how far I threw it.
Well, nobody going to catch him either.
No. I didn't even watch. I ran on over to the sideline because I knew nobody was going to catch it.
Rivez boomed 2 more field goals, one from 52 yards out. The capper on this truly great day at Crampton Bowl came on the game's final play. Alabama's Ricky Moore bolted through the line from his own 31, and it was a foot race to the goal line between Moore and the Blues' David Edwards. The Illinois safety hauled the Alabama back down at the 2, and the clock ran out.
I tell you what, the people of Montgomery and Fats Jones and all those people that have put this game on, and everybody, the media, everybody that's had anything to do with it whatsoever during the week have done a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that it's always nice to cap anything off with a victory.
Enough said, except Gray 33, Blue 6.
Linebackers are great. I think they have a great group of linebackers. The defensive linemen keep our offensive linemen off the linebackers, which is excellent for the defense. So that can cause a problem somewhat, but I think we can handle it if we execute well. My game is on right now, and that really helps the offense when the quarterback game is on because it centers around the quarterback. So I feel good, and hopefully we can have a good game.
Yes, sir, I think so. If we just try to mix up our run and our pass, and if they're playing the run a lot, I think that by going deep, and stuff that'll help the offense.
Freddie is an excellent receiver. He does an excellent job catching the ball when he shouldn't, be catching it. So he's going to do wonders for our team and for our offense.
The field is all quiet now, and quite a bit different from yesterday when players from all over the country huddled here in Crampton Bowl to play in the 1984 Blue-Gray All-Star Football Classic. This year's Blue-Gray game was the biggest ever, drawing a capacity crowd of about 25,000 people. That means more than $125,000 will be going to the Montgomery Lions Club's favorite charities.
The International Lions Club's main charity is eyesight work. So about half of those funds, or a little better, will go to help the blind operations. We have bought some pieces of equipment for hospitals here that would be totally unavailable. People would have to go to Birmingham for the type operations. And then the other, say 40% of it, goes to underprivileged youth work here in Montgomery.
All the activity on the field brought a lot of activity off the field. The sellout crowd, 74 players, and the more than 200 scouts and agents in town for the game added up to a pretty profitable Christmas for Montgomery businesses.
Blue-Gray game has always meant a great deal to us in dollar figures. I think if you look at all of the costs and so forth associated with that, it nets Montgomery somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 a year.
So with both profits and attendance going up year after year, officials say it's a sure bet the Blue-Gray game will continue to be a Christmas tradition in Montgomery. Terry Stanton, WSFA TV News.
Because Winn-Dixie stores have a general admission promotion that they give.
That's a year-long project now. And of course, the numbers are already so great. The volume is already so large out at the shopping areas. But I'm sure that since they spend their Christmas with us, they also.
If there were any doubts as to what kind of year 1984 was going to be in terms of sales for area businesses, Christmas Eve and today have quieted the skeptics. Bargain hunters lined up early this morning to return a few Christmas gifts, to pick up wrapping paper and cards for next year, and to get the first look at the after-Christmas sales. For retailers, November and December account for a little more than 25% of the year's total sales, and 1984 has been a pretty good year.
It's been real good. We've been real happy with the Christmas selling season, with the economy picking up, unemployment going down, so it's made for a good Christmas season.
Sales for us have been excellent. We've just concluded our biggest year since we've ever been open. We're real pleased to say that, and just real happy for it.
Retailers say clothing is #1 in volume sales, but video equipment, cameras, recorders, televisions, and stereos have also done well. Music stores say 1984 has been great, but 83 was better.
We've had a big influx of people, of course, that's what everyone would expect, but it's been a pretty good year. This Christmas wasn't as good as last Christmas, especially in our business.
Many clothing retailers say the unseasonably warm weather has caused their winter sales, such as coats and gloves, to drop just a little bit. But on the whole, it's been a Merry Christmas and a happy year for all. Dean Argo, WSFA TV News.
Presents are on the way without fail. 92 million income tax forms are being sent out. And while about 80% of us will get refunds, statistics suggest most of us will wait until the very end, the April 15th deadline, to fill them out. The income tax filing 121 days away as of today, December 26th, 1984.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel.
Jim Ziegler is doing something a lot of taxpayers probably wish they could do. He's suing the lieutenant governor and some other state officials for paying the legislature $95 a day during this holiday recess.
It's a waste of the taxpayers' dollars, and it's very unwise at a time when the general fund is short of money.
When the legislature realized last week it couldn't finish its business on the co-employee bill, lawmakers called it quits for 13 days. Ziegler says the legislature is entitled to $10 a day in what's called constitutional pay, but no more than that.
What I am questioning is the $85 a day, which is the vast bulk of the monies expended in so-called expense payments.
Ziegler, who successfully challenged a pay increase for certain state officials in 1983, says he will file his lawsuit in Montgomery County Circuit Court on behalf of all Alabama taxpayers.
That this is a way to increase their pay in disguise, and that disguise being expenses.
Susan Silvernail, WSFA TV News. Are you just trying to save me and us, taxpayers, money? Or what?
Bingo is one way that we feel we can have a regular source of income so that we can once again, beginning this year in 1985, have kids active again and be a competitive drum corps.
B1.
Everybody's ready to play. We're ready to win. You know, we're ready to go out, you know, with a win, and we're ready to show everybody that Auburn still have a great football team.
Yes, we had a very intense practice Friday, you know, full pads and everything. We had a very good, you know, learning session Saturday before we pulled out coming up here. And, you know, if we go out and practice the way we played, we'll have a pretty good game.
You know, I think it comes at a point in time where everybody just got to respond to the challenge that we got in front of us. I think to the man, coaches and players, and I'm sure the fans too, we're disappointed in the way the season turned out. But you know, this is a new season, and a great opportunity for us. So I hope we take advantage of it.
Both coaches have repeatedly predicted a close game, and there will be good recognition of the offensive attack since both use the wishbone, although Ken Hatfield prefers to call his the flexbone, indicating a more pass-oriented philosophy. Auburn's version of the bone may be a bit more power-oriented, and it appears the Tigers will be stronger. But what poses a problem for Auburn is Arkansas's ability to throw and run the triple option well. Auburn does not have a good record against option teams that can also throw.
One thing about Arkansas and Auburn, and we've looked at, we swapped 11 games, and coming in on our option game, but they beat us about as soundly as you could out of it. It came back. Started Thursday and Friday and Saturday before we left, and I thought the tempo picked up a great deal, and I think our preparation has been fine.
The Alabama Baptist State Convention is extending its hand across the water to reach the starving people of Ethiopia.
We are happy to present to our president, Dr. Orford, president of the Alabama Baptist State Convention, this check for the Foreign Mission Department for Ethiopia for $9,000.
The $9,000 comes from a lot of different pockets. Baptist churches pass the plate, sororities and fraternities tap their members. It's from a 6-county area. This money goes into a pot with money from other parts of Alabama to buy food and medical supplies
for Ethiopians.
We need your help. My brethren and my sisters, we are a people. We are a convention that believe in caring and sharing.
We have just begun. We're a little bit like the song, we have only just begun.
And so the Baptists will continue to raise money through next month. Their goal is to collect $250,000 for people devastated by drought and famine. Susan Silvernail, WSFA TV News.
Well, it makes me feel good, and I enjoy knowing that I can help other people when it comes down to it.
Sergeant Joyce Order from the police department. She had her attorney present, and she did request a continuance, which was denied, and she did plead not guilty to departmental charges, which were misuse of her sick time and engaging in criminal activity, which stemmed from the complaint from the FOP. Initiating our investigation into the complaint, a warrant was filed against her and served, and those charges are pending still, criminal charges.
This is a Batmobile. It's a mobile breath testing unit used by Houston County State Troopers. The machine's job is to determine how much alcohol has been absorbed into a person's blood. To be considered drunk, a driver must register at least .10 on this monitor. National statistics show 1 out of every 10 drivers is under the influence of alcohol. This problem has prompted Dothan police and local state troopers to bring in extra manpower tomorrow through New Year's Eve.
About the only problems that we anticipate are the people that go out and they think that unless they're not able to walk or have control of themselves, that they're not drunk. That is not the case.
Corporal Andrews says the extra manpower will be used primarily for traffic violators and drunk drivers. But if a late-night celebrator doesn't want to venture out behind the wheel of his car and possibly face a DUI charge, then he can get help from at least 4 Dothan hotels.
There's a lot of people be coming out to our cocktail lounge to drink, and there's a lot of people that are not really experienced drinkers that don't drink a lot through the year, and then this is their one big night out. And to make things a little bit safer for them, to keep them from getting a DUI, we're offering our rooms at $19.85.
Christy Steves, WSFA TV News, Houston County.
The good news for Auburn is Bo Jackson is back and healthy. The big running back returned to the lineup after injuries and rushed for 118 yards against Alabama in the season finale. Auburn won 8 games during the regular season on the running of fullback Brent Fullwood, who is only a sophomore. Auburn linebacker Greg Carr is an All-American selection. Carr had over 100 solo tackles this year. Arkansas, meanwhile, won 7 games after losing 3 of its last 4 in '83. Credit quarterback Brad Taylor and wide receiver James Shabest for an improved offense.
They throw well. They should. I guess they're throwing probably around 200 yards a game, which is a lot from Wishbone.
Jack Gregory, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Again, I believe that the people of Alabama are tired of the constant furor in the legislature over pay, and I believe the legislators themselves are tired of that same furor.
And Representative Venable says he's both tired of and embarrassed by ongoing fights over legislative pay and expenses. Right now, state legislators are paid a salary of $10 a day, plus an expense allowance of $85 a day. Venable says the salary is based on what he calls an antiquated constitution, and he says that salary should be changed.
What I'm talking about, though, is increasing an annual salary and then paying the expenses on top of that, but making the expenses equitable and not simply being paid because you're a member of the legislature. If you use expenses, receive them. If you don't receive them.
Venable says his proposal must first gain the approval of his fellow lawmakers and then be put before Alabama voters.
I think the real secret to finding a solution to this problem is getting the salary of the compensation high enough to get the state legislature to approve it, but keeping it low enough for the people of Alabama to approve it in a constitutional referendum. You've got to walk a very tight rope, and I'm not sure that it can be done, but I want to make that effort.
And Venable says his efforts will probably get a boost from the recent decision by legislators to give themselves a 13-day paid holiday. He says public response to that decision will at least get his colleagues to give his bill a closer look. Lois Russell, WSFA TV News.
Project Share's district supervisor says it was Alabama Power Company's idea to help a few families pay their heating bills.
And then they asked the Red Cross to administer these funds to help the people, the elderly, disabled, or handicapped, or people with serious medical problems, to pay their heating bills. Now, they can be any type of bill, gas, electric, propane, wood, whatever source they heat their home with.
And now Alabama Gas Company has joined Alabama Power in asking their customers to donate $1 a month to Project Share. That money pays a needy family's heating bill for 1 month. Mrs. Emmons says if this year is anything like last year, response should be pretty good.
Last year we were in the 4 counties that Montgomery area chapter of the Red Cross are responsible for. We were able to help 557 households with about $64,000.
The Red Cross will begin taking applications for assistance on January 3rd, and even though it's like spring outside, Mrs. Emmons says she expects plenty of applicants.
I wouldn't expect as many as if it were cold. However, there are a lot of people who have trouble year-round paying their bills and need the assistance.
Terry Stanton, WSFA TV News.
This is the Super Bowl for the Civil Air Patrol, a volunteer auxiliary group to the United States Air Force. For the next couple of days, these cadets will be going through several phases of competition to determine who's number one. The drilling the young men and women did today is only the first step in the competition.
There's also the aerospace testing, the panel quiz, which involves mostly aerospace-type questions that will take place tonight. And then there's the physical fitness portion, which is the volleyball competition and the mile run, which will be taking place tomorrow also.
The 8 teams taking part in the national championships are no strangers to competition. They've already been chosen the best in their region. The National Cadet Competition is a relatively new program getting underway 9 years ago. Organizers say the event is designed to stimulate interest in the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Leadership and Motivation Program. The teams from Alabama, California, Illinois, North Carolina, Iowa, New York, Texas, and Utah will have to wait until tomorrow night to find out who's number one. Don Phelps, WSFA TV News.
The legislators say limiting the grounds for job injury lawsuits could be the most important issue facing the legislature in a decade. They say as the law stands now, Alabamians are being hurt, and they're just trying to move Alabama toward the center to be more like other states.
And the bottom line is if this bill becomes law, then injured workers will be cared for, their health benefits paid, and their cost of rehabilitation paid for the duration of the disability. Those are good, solid benefits. Business and industry are willing to pay for those benefits because those costs can be calculated. The matter of co-employee liability, though, is an uncertainty. And with the rapid and expansive growth in the number of suits and the size of the judgments, it has taken its toll on our business and industry climate.
I think this state is responsible. I think this state can afford to put together a package to take care of its on-the-job injured people. I do not think that that's the right way to handle it. Now, we can say that this is all a bunch of junk about running this industry off. I mean, there's nothing to this. This is all hogwash. Well, then we need to go back and look at the unemployment situation we got in this state compared to the rest of this state. You'll find we're number 2 in the nation.
But the lawmakers have their own truth squad following them around. They're representatives of labor and trial lawyers, and they say House Bill number 1 would not benefit all the workers. In fact, they say they see no reason to change the existing law.
We hadn't heard any of the industry that they're talking about that's guaranteed that if this bill passes that those jobs are going to be there. So they haven't convinced us yet that it's costing jobs in Alabama.
Both the lawmakers and labor representatives agree on a couple of things, however. One, that the special session was ill-advised at this time to deal with such a complex issue. And two, they all say they're willing to sit down and compromise. That is, if all sides would agree. The legislature reconvenes next Thursday, January 3rd.
This is the approximate location of Thomas Eason's takeoff point in Cross City, Florida. His destination, Sylacauga, Alabama. The 32-year-old pilot has not been heard from since he left Florida last Sunday morning. Now the Civil Air Patrol is searching for Eason and his red and white craft in areas between Cross City and Sylacauga.
According to statements the pilot made before he left, we expected him to have refueled in Tallahassee and Dothan, although we don't have any information either confirming or denying that fact at this time.
The search began yesterday in Sylacauga, and today Civil Air Patrol officials set up a mission control center in Dothan, since the city is in the middle of the Alabama search area. The search team includes 9 Dothan aircraft with 2-man crews.
Planes you see taking off here are going out for what we call a grid search, and we give them a certain area of land to fly over in a certain pattern at a certain altitude and cover that doing a visual search.
The search also continues in Florida and Georgia. Lieutenant Flowers says it will end when they find something, either a downed airplane or until they get a call from an airport saying Eason is okay. Christy Steves, WSFA TV News, Dothan.
The junior high edition of the Blue-Gray Christmas Tourney, Goodwin in red. Number 13, Tim Tucker gets the steal in the second period. That made it 20-17 with Capitol Heights leading. Goodwin made it a 1-point ball game at the half. Michael Owens from the corner. It was now 20-19. In the second half, Owens picks up where he left off. The pass from Tucker, it was 25-21 with 6.5 minutes in the third period. Capitol Heights' Cedric Williams shows some excellent hustle with the inbounds pass. Williams gets the rebound for the 2 points. Adrian Harris was high point man today with 25. He scores the easy layup and draws the foul. Goodwin advances to the championship game tomorrow, beating crosstown rival Capitol Heights 54-51. Jim Jackson reporting, WSFA TV Sports. Semi-final action tonight in the Blue-Gray basketball tournament. The Tuskegee Institute Tigers and the Selma Saints. Willie Richardson gets the steal for Tuskegee. He takes it for the two-hand slam. Selma's Marcus Hanna hits on a jumper just before the half. The Tigers were leading Selma 22-11. Hannah's pass to senior forward Steve Martin made it 22-15 early in the third period. Selma's bench was called for a technical foul in the fourth. That made it 33-25. Michael Moman hit 2 in a row from this spot. That made it 37-27, Tuskegee with a 10-point lead. Selma's Henry Fullwinder sinking the last points for Selma tonight with a minute 53 left to play, while a player not listed for Tuskegee jams it home to beat the Saints in the semifinals 45-29. Jim Jackson reporting, WSFA TV Sports.
It was, in fact, Auburn's much maligned defense that did the job last night. 4 times they picked off Razorback passes. This one by Kevin Porter returned for the touchdown that put the Tigers ahead 14-3. Bo Jackson had scored earlier on a short run. It went to the fourth at 14-3. Auburn's lead looking better all the time, till this turnover, Auburn's first of the night, gave Arkansas the ball at the 6. The Razorbacks punched it in to trail by just 5. Bo Jackson appeared to ice the game on this 40-yard run late in the fourth. He had 88 yards on 18 carries, scored 2 touchdowns, was the game's MVP. But Arkansas answered quickly, going 69 yards the last 25 on this Brad Taylor to James Shebest pass. Auburn took the ball, needing to kill the clock. They made 2 first downs, and then that defense held the Razorbacks off the final minute and a half to take the 21-15 victory.
Basically, we're a young football team. And I'm certainly going to learn from this year. I hope we all do. I'm going to make a new commitment to you. And I want you to make a commitment to Auburn. That you're going to be the best student that you can be, the best person that you can be, and the best football player you can be. And that's exactly what I'm going to live my life for. And the rest of these coaches, we're not going to cut any corners with you. We're not going to take any shortcuts with you. And we're not going to take anything for granted like I did this past year. I love you too much. I love you too much for you to not have a great football team and season next year.
Y edition of the Blue-Gray Christmas Tourney. Goodwin in red. Number 13, Tim Tucker, gets the steal in the second period. That made it 20-17 with Capitol Heights leading. Goodwin made it a 1-point ball game at the half. Michael Owens from the corner. It was now 20-19. In the second half, Owens picks up where he left off. The pass from Tucker. It was 25-21 with 6.5 minutes in the third period. Capitol Heights' Cedric Williams shows some excellent hustle with the inbounds pass. Williams gets the rebound for the 2 points. Adrian Harris was high point man today with 25. He scores the easy layup and draws the foul. Goodwin advances to the championship game tomorrow, beating crosstown rival Capitol Heights 54-51. Jim Jackson reporting, WSFA TV Sports.